going on today, guys? Anthony here with Nuts and Bolts for Empire Music. I want to talk a little bit about fretboard radiuses today. We get that question here in the store. What's better? What's worse? What actually is it? And as you know with me, there's really no right or wrong. It's a lot of personal preference that go into that. Everyone's hand's a little bit different, and as I explain it, you'll see why that sort of matters. Also depends on what kind of style of music you're playing, what your role in music is. If you're a soloist, you like a lot of hammer-ons, tapping. If you're a bass player, a lot of slapping, a lot of chords or various different things, and hammer-ons and things like that. Then one may fit you better than another. It may not. Get some instruments in your hand and kind of see what takes for you. But first off, what is fretboard radius? I have this handy diagram here. It's a very high-tech operation that we have going on here. And this kind of explains to you, and I stole this right from Fender's website. We're an authorized Fender dealer, so there's no plagiarism there. I think we're fully authorized to be able to take this from them. They won't mind one bit. But this sort of shows you what we mean by fretboard radius. Everyone, if you don't know, the radius of a circle is from the center point out to the edge. So in the case where this is a 9.5 radius, you have a circle with a 9.5 radius. That's this whole circle right there. And see how they would cut this fretboard radius at the top. So the larger the number, the bigger the circle, the flatter we are on the actual part of the fretboard that we're cutting. If you look at a 7 1/4, which we would classify as kind of a vintage fretboard radius, then it's the lower the number, the smaller the circle, the more arc you have kind of at the top there. So if you see a fretboard radius that's 7 1/4, you know that's going to be a pretty round fretboard. If you see a fretboard radius that's a higher number, that's going to be a flatter feeling, and not just feeling, it is a flatter fretboard. You see, 7 1/4 is about as low as we see come through the shop, and that you'll see anywhere. They get up as high as 20, 22, totally flat in the case of like a classical guitar, and that's just due to that style of playing. Now, who does what benefit? What's better or worse for you? Again, really no right or wrong answer there, but I guess a general sort of rule of thumb there is, the chord players, the rhythm players, you probably want something that's going to fit the hand really well for bar chords and, to kind of fit the arc of the fingers. 9.5 is going to be what you see a lot of on the Fender things. 7 1/4, and like I said, a vintage inspired instrument. And all the way up to, say, 12 and 14. Now, when we get at 14, 16, 18, that's going to cater, general rule of thumb on paper towards the guys that are playing faster type of lines, hammer-ons, tapping, the more a lot of metal players like that because you can play a little bit faster with that type of stuff. But no real rule of thumb because I play a lot of fast things on something that's 7 1/4 as a bass player. And there's probably a lot of guys that play a lot of chordal stuff on very flat fretboards. So that's just sort of what it means in a general guideline, but the best thing you can do is get things in your hands and see, hey, this feels good to me, this feels bad to me. How do I bend strings on it? How is everything fretting out? Is anything fretting out for me on this particular radius? It's trial and error, just like I always say with any pedals or any basses or any pickups or any guitars, try it. Get into a shop like here at Empire Music and try it. Pick up some of your friends' instruments and try it. Now, the other thing to kind of think about too with fretboard radius is you get things like this Fender Elite P-Bass here would have a compound radius on it. What's that mean? So compound radius means it's going to start at one fretboard radius and it's going to end at another. In this case, we start out at 9.5 down here, and as we get up there, up past the 12th fret, it flattens out to a 14. So you have a flatter fretboard up here and a rounder fretboard down here. School of thought there is if you're playing guitar, you're going to play more chords down here. You're going to be soloing up here, so it's essentially going to allow you to achieve those things better with the compound radius on there. Again, no right or wrong. Try it out. See if it feels good to you. But that's essentially what we mean, or what anyone means when they say, what's the fretboard radius? And we refer to that, we refer to the arc or the curve of that fretboard. and that's based off of it being cut from a circle. So the lower the number, the more rounded the fretboard's going to be. The higher the number, the flatter the fretboard's going to be. Yeah, hope that kind of clears some stuff up for you if you didn't know that stuff. If you're coming to the shop, we're going to ask you what style of music you play and how you play. And we're going to try and get you kind of pointed in the right direction. And from there, it's going to be a lot of personal preference. If you have any more questions, call myself, Todd, or Joe at the shop, 412-343-5299. You can check us out at empiremusiconline.com. As always, please subscribe, follow, like us on Facebook, and we're definitely here to help you guys. Thanks.